Welcome back to the deep dive. We are diving into cloud security today, specifically Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And we really hit the jackpot with our source material for this one. We have access to a masterclass by a cloud security expert named Nestor. And let me tell you, this guy is incredible.
His energy is amazing.
Right, yeah.
Like, you can just tell how much he loves this stuff. Like, he really lives and breathes Defender for Cloud, and that passion really comes through in his teaching.
It's amazing. He's like this walking encyclopedia of cloud security, knowledge, but delivers it in a way that's like really engaging, and you can just follow along. Okay, let's jump into some of these nuggets of wisdom that he dropped in this masterclass. First up, Defender for Cloud pricing. It's not a subscription model, right?
Right. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. So Defender for Cloud is what they call consumption-based. You only pay for what you're protecting, which is nice. And it's broken down into plans like Defender for servers or Defender for databases, each with their own pricing. Oh, okay. So like if I'm only using Defender for servers, I'm not paying for a bunch of other stuff that I don't need.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's all about that flexibility and cost optimization.
Yeah.
And, Nestor really hit on that a lot in the masterclass. He even did a live demo showing how to manage costs in real time in Defender for Cloud.
A real-time cost management demo.
Yeah.
Okay, that is cool. What kind of stuff did he show?
So, for example, he adjusted settings like scaling down the performance of a web app to show how that would affect the cost in real time. It's like having a little cloud security accountant, helping you optimize your spending.
I love that. I love that analogy. It makes it so much easier to understand. Now, you mentioned Defender for servers, and it seems like that's Nestor's favorite. Why is that? What's so special about Defender for servers?
So Defender for Servers has a ton of features like vulnerability assessment, integration with endpoint protection, and the option for both agent and agentless scanning. Hold on. Agent versus agentless scanning. That sounds like we're going down a technical rabbit hole. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, think of agentless scanning as like a quick health check. It gives you a sense of your security posture without having to do a lot of setup. But if you want to get those really deep insights and have fine-grained control, you need the Azure Monitor agent.
Okay, so the agent gives you more control over what's scanned and how it's scanned.
Exactly. And Nestor showed how to use something called data collection rules. You can set those up to control exactly what info the agent collects. For Windows or Linux servers, you can even capture things like performance logs and custom events.
Wow, that is a lot of customization. Now, we're talking about Azure, but what about other clouds? What if I have resources in AWS or Google Cloud? Can Defender for Cloud work with those?
Yeah, that's Defender for Cloud's multi-cloud reach, right? So Nestor showed us how to connect to an AWS account, and he kept saying how it's about unifying your security view no matter where your resources actually live.
So I can, manage my AWS security from Defender for Cloud.
Yeah. In a way, yes.
That sounds amazing.
But there are some limitations. Like, not every feature is available on all cloud environments.
Okay. What kind of limitations?
So, for example, the features in Defender for servers might be different in AWS compared to Azure.
Gotcha. Okay. Still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears and talk about compliance. That's always a big deal for organizations. How does Defender for Cloud help with that?
Defender for Cloud is all about good governance. Nestor explained how it aligns with industry standards like CIS, NIST, PCI DSS, all those acronyms. And it can even work with Azure policy to help you enforce compliance.
So it's like a built-in compliance officer making sure you're doing all the right things.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just checking boxes. Defender for Cloud gives recommendations based on these standards to actually improve your security posture.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Now, speaking of recommendations, you mentioned something earlier called the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. What is that all about?
That is the built-in security baseline, like a foundation. And it's full of best practices for improving security in the cloud.
So like a cheat sheet for cloud security best practices.
Exactly. And what's really cool is it's built on the cloud adoption framework. So you're getting expert guidance from the very beginning of your cloud journey.
Okay, so it's like a security guide from day one.
Yeah, all about building a strong security foundation from the very start.
That's nice. So it sounds like Defender for Cloud isn't just about reacting to threats. It's also about preventing them in the first place, right?
Yeah. And to show this, Nestor did a demo where he generated sample security alerts in Defender for Cloud. It's like a fire drill for your cloud security, so you can see how it would respond to potential threats.
A security fire drill. I like that analogy. What kind of alerts did he show?
He did a few examples, but what really caught my attention was when he talked about using something called logic apps to automate remediation tasks.
Wait, hold on. Automate remediation.
Yeah.
So Defender for Cloud can fix security problems by itself.
In some cases, yeah. So using these logic apps, you can automate things like isolating a compromised virtual machine or patching a server with a vulnerability.
Wow, that is cool. It's like having an automated security incident response team.
Exactly.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's all about minimizing the impact of a security incident and giving your security team more time to focus on strategy.
Okay, I see. So less time fighting fires, more time planning and being proactive.
Exactly.
This is all so fascinating, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more confident about cloud security just from this conversation.
I know, right? That's the magic of Defender for Cloud and Nestor's way of teaching it. He's so good at making it easy to understand.
Yeah. And inspiring, He makes you want to go explore and learn more.
Yeah.
But let's rewind for a second and go back to something you mentioned earlier about agentless scanning. Nestor revealed a pretty important detail about how it works.
Oh, right. He explained that you need to have the Cloud Security Posture Management feature, or CSPM for short, activated for agentless scanning to work properly.
Okay, so CSPM has to be on for agentless scanning. Why is that?
So CSPM, think of it as the brain power behind Defender for Cloud's assessments. It gives you that big picture view of your security, looking at things like compliance, misconfigurations, network exposure, all of that. So agentless scanning needs that broader context from CSPM to really be effective.
Got it. So it's like CSPM lays the groundwork, and then agentless scanning can come in and do its job.
Exactly. It's about having a complete picture, not just a little snapshot.
So if I don't have CSPM turned on, I could be missing out on important information.
Definitely. Especially if you're relying solely on agentless scanning. Without CSPM, you're basically navigating in the dark. Your assessments might not be as accurate or complete.
Okay, so enabling CSPM is a must-have.
Yeah, like turning on the headlights.
I like that analogy. So CSPM, check. It sounds like we've learned a lot about Defender for Servers and how it works, but what about other resources, like storage accounts? Does Defender for Cloud protect those too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Defender for Cloud has a dedicated plan for that called Defender for Storage, and as you might guess, it focuses on securing your cloud storage.
Okay, makes sense. Storage security is a big deal these days. What kind of features does Defender for Storage offer?
Well, for starters, it continuously monitors for threats and vulnerabilities in your storage accounts.
So it's like having a security camera on my data.
Exact.
247 surveillance.
Yep. It can detect things like unauthorized access attempts or if someone tries to change your data without permission.
That's good to know. Makes me feel a bit safer. Anything else Defender for Storage does?
Oh, yeah. Nestor also highlighted malware scanning.
Hold on. So Defender for Storage scans my data for malware.
You got it. It uses advanced threat intelligence and scanning engines to find any malicious files hiding in your storage accounts.
It's like antivirus, but for my cloud storage.
Precisely. A must-have, especially if you're dealing with sensitive data.
Now, you mentioned before that Defender for Storage has its own pricing, right?
Right. It's $10 per storage account per month.
$10 per storage account, okay.
But there's one more thing about the cost. There's an additional charge for the malware scanning.
Oh, okay. How does that work?
It depends on how much data is scanned. The rate is 15 cents per gigabyte.
So the more data I scan, the more it costs.
Exactly. But there's a way to manage that. You can actually set a limit in Defender for Storage on how much data gets scanned each month.
Oh, that's smart. So I can say, only scan up to 10 gigabytes this month to keep costs under control.
Exactly. That way you can stay within your budget and still keep your storage accounts safe.
That's awesome. This is so helpful. I'm already feeling like I'm becoming a cloud security expert.
I know, right?
And we haven't even scratched the surface of what Defender Storage can do.
Right. Nestor went on to explain that it's not just about malware and threats. It also plays a key role in ensuring data integrity. Like, there's this feature called File Integrity Monitoring that helps you track unauthorized changes to your important files.
Wait a minute. File integrity monitoring? Didn't we talk about that before?
You have a good memory. Yeah, we mentioned it when talking about Defender for Servers, but it's important to remember that this applies to storage accounts as well.
Oh, okay. So I can track changes to files stored in Azure Blob Storage, for instance.
Exactly. Defender for Storage can track modifications, deletions, permission changes, everything. It's like having a super detailed audit trail for all your sensitive data. You'll know if anyone's messed with it without your permission.
That's amazing. That's a lot of control. It really feels like Defender for Storage has my back when it comes to data security.
Oh, it definitely does. And speaking of data security, there's one more crucial feature we need to discuss. Sensitive data protection.
Sensitive data protection. That sounds serious.
Oh, it is. It's a game changer, especially if you're working with sensitive information like PII or financial data. Nestor explained that this feature leverages Microsoft's super advanced information protection technology to automatically find and classify sensitive data in your storage accounts.
So it can detect things like credit card numbers or social security numbers.
You got it. It uses pre-built sensitive information types and customizable rules to make sure it identifies your most valuable data accurately.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a data detective constantly searching my storage for sensitive information.
Exactly. And once it finds that sensitive data, Defender for Storage takes action to protect it.
What kind of actions?
Well, it can do things like encrypt the data, restrict who has access to it, or even send out alerts if it detects anything suspicious happening around that sensitive data.
Okay, that's impressive. It sounds like sensitive data protection really takes security to a whole new level.
Oh, it does. It's a must-have for anyone who's serious about protecting their sensitive information in the cloud.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Defender for Cloud has a specialized plan for every type of cloud resource, like Defender for Servers, Defender for Storage. Is there a Defender for everything?
You're getting it. Microsoft keeps expanding Defender for Cloud to cover more and more cloud resources. And yes, there are Defender plans for other services like databases and containers.
This is incredible. It sounds like Defender for Cloud can really be a one-stop shop for my cloud security.
You're absolutely right. It's designed to provide centralized security management for everything in your cloud environment.
All right, so we've talked about Defender for Servers, Defender for Storage. What's next on our Defender for Cloud adventure?
Let's talk about databases. Nestor moves on to Defender for Databases, which is the specialized plan for, you guessed it, securing your cloud databases.
Aha, I knew it. Defender for everything. All right, so what makes Defender for Databases so special?
For starters, it offers comprehensive vulnerability assessment for your databases. It can pinpoint misconfigurations, security gaps, and even potential attack vectors.
It's like having a security consultant constantly auditing my databases.
Exactly. It can help you find those hidden vulnerabilities before attackers do.
Phew, that's a relief. Anything else?
Oh, there's more. It also offers real-time threat detection.
Real-time threat detection. You mean it can actually detect attacks as they happen?
Yep. It uses fancy behavioral analytics and anomaly detection to spot suspicious activities, like unusual login attempts or attempts to steal data.
That is amazing. It's like having a 247 security guard protecting my databases.
You got it. And it doesn't stop at detection. Defender for Databases also provides response capabilities.
Response capabilities, so it can fight back against attacks.
That's right. Depending on how serious the threat is, it can block the attack, isolate the compromised database, or even send alerts to your security team.
That's pretty impressive. So in some cases, Defender for Databases can handle threats without me even lifting a finger.
Exactly. It's about minimizing the impact of those attacks and keeping your data safe.
This is all so amazing. I feel like Defender for Databases really has me covered.
It does. It provides a really comprehensive security package for your cloud databases, covering vulnerability assessment, threat detection, and even those response capabilities.
Now, you mentioned before that Defender for Databases has its own pricing, right?
That's right. It depends on what type of database you're protecting.
Okay. Different databases, different pricing, makes sense. Can you give me some examples?
Absolutely. So for Azure SQL databases, which are platform as a service, the cost is $15 per server per month.
Okay, $15 per server. Got it. What about other types of databases?
Well, for open source relational databases like MySQL and PostgreSQL, which are also offered as a service in Azure, it works a bit differently.
How so?
Defender for Cloud protects those open source databases by watching their activity for any signs of trouble. The price is based on request units.
Request units, what are those?
Think of them as a way to measure how much your database is being used. The more request units your database uses, the more it costs.
Ah, okay, so it's kind of like a pay-as-you-go model.
Exactly. You only pay for what you actually use.
I like that. How much is it per request unit?
For open source relational databases, Defender for Cloud charges $0.0012 for every 100 request units.
Okay, so a fraction of a cent per 100 request units. That seems reasonable.
It is. And you only pay if your database is actually doing something. No activity, no charge.
That's great. So this is a really cost-effective way to make sure my open source databases are protected.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about Azure SQL and open source. Are there any other types of databases that Defender for Cloud can handle?
Oh, yeah. Defender for Cloud can also protect Azure Cosmos DB, which is Microsoft's global multi-model database service.
Cosmos DB. Okay. How does Defender for Cloud protect that?
It takes a similar approach to open source databases, monitoring Cosmos DB instances for anything suspicious. And the pricing is also based on request units.
Same pricing model.
Exactly. The only difference is the rate per 100 request units.
And what's the rate for Cosmos DB?
It's also $0.0012 per 100 request units.
Okay, so the same as open source relational databases. That's good to know.
Yeah, it keeps things nice and consistent.
This is all so incredibly informative. I'm really starting to see how powerful Defender for Cloud can be.
It's a pretty amazing solution, right? And guess what? We're not done yet. Next up, Nestor dives into the world of containers. He explains how Defender for Cloud uses a plan called Defender for Containers to keep those containerized workloads safe.
Defender for Containers. Okay, this is getting exciting. Tell me more. What makes this one special?
Well, first off, it continuously scans your container images and running containers for any vulnerabilities.
So it's like a security scanner just constantly checking my containers for weaknesses.
Exactly. It's looking for vulnerabilities in the software packages you're using and any misconfigurations that attackers could exploit.
Okay, that's good to know. It gives me some peace of mind knowing those containers are being scanned regularly. Is there anything else Defender for Containers does?
Oh, yeah, there's more. It also offers runtime protection.
Runtime protection, what's that?
It means Defender for Containers watches your containers while they're running, looking for anything suspicious like unauthorized processes or attempts to escape the container's sandbox.
That's smart. So it's not just looking for existing vulnerabilities, it's actively protecting containers in real time as they're working.
You got it. It's about providing security through every stage of the container's life.
This is awesome. I feel like Defender for Containers has my back when it comes to container security.
It definitely does. It's built to provide layered security for your containers so you can run your applications in the cloud with confidence.
And of course, Defender for Containers has its own pricing structure, right?
Right. Again, it's based on the number of cores your containers are using.
Cores? You mean like the CPU cores in my container host?
Yep. Each core that your containers use is charged monthly.
Okay, so if my containers use more cores, it costs more.
Exactly. The price scales with how much you're actually using.
Makes sense to me. How much is it per core?
$7 per core per month.
$7 a core, all right. So if I had a container workload using 10 cores, it would cost me $70 per month to protect it.
You got it. And the nice thing about this pricing is that it scales up and down with your container usage. More cores means higher cost, fewer cores, lower cost.
That's really flexible. This is all so informative. I'm starting to really appreciate all the things Defender for Cloud can do.
It really is a powerful solution. And you know what? We're still not done. Nestor continues his tour of Defender for Cloud with one of its most exciting features, multi-cloud protection.
Multi-cloud protection. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'm ready to hear more.
Well, Nestor starts by making it clear. Defender for Cloud isn't just for Azure. It can also protect resources on AWS and Google Cloud.
Really? So I could manage the security for my AWS and Google Cloud accounts right alongside my Azure stuff.
Exactly. It's like a central security hub for your whole multi-cloud environment.
That's amazing. Having a single place to manage security across all those different clouds would be incredible.
It's a real game changer. It simplifies everything and gives you a complete view of your security posture.
Right. So how does Defender for Cloud connect to those other cloud environments?
Nestor walked us through it, explaining how you create something called connectors within Defender for Cloud.
Connectors, what are those?
Think of them as bridges that link Defender for Cloud to your other cloud accounts. They allow it to collect data, spot threats, and provide security recommendations for those AWS and Google Cloud resources.
Okay, so I would need to set up a separate connector for each cloud provider I want to protect.
Exactly. Nestor actually did a live demo showing us how to create a connector for AWS.
Oh, a live demo, nice. What's involved in setting up a connector?
Well, you start by giving Defender for Cloud some basic information about your AWS account, like your account ID and the regions you want to protect.
So it needs to know where to look for my AWS resources.
Exactly. After that, Defender for Cloud walks you through the rest of the process.
Sounds pretty straightforward. Is there anything I need to do on the AWS side to make the connection work?
Yes. Nestor emphasized that you have to set up specific IAM roles in AWS. They give Defender for Cloud the permissions it needs to access your resources.
IAM roles, those are like user accounts for cloud services, right?
Exactly. You have to create roles with the right permissions so Defender for Cloud can do its job.
Got it. So it's a bit of a two-way street. I have to set things up on both the Defender for Cloud side and the AWS side.
You got it. It's a team effort to get that secure connection established.
Now, I'm curious. Does Defender for Cloud offer the same level of protection for AWS and Google Cloud as it does for Azure?
That's a great question, and Nestor addressed that directly. He said that while Defender for Cloud can work with AWS and Google Cloud, there are some limitations.
What kind of limitations?
Well, not every feature is available for AWS and Google Cloud resources. Like some of the advanced threat detection features might only work with Azure.
So it's multi-cloud, but with some caveats.
Exactly. But even with those limitations, Defender for Cloud's multi-cloud protection is still really valuable.
I can definitely see that. Having one platform to manage my multi-cloud security would be a huge time saver.
Absolutely. It's about having control and a clear view of everything, all in one place.
This is all so insightful. I'm really starting to appreciate the power and flexibility of Defender for Cloud.
It is an impressive tool, and we're not finished yet. Nestor went on to talk about how multi-cloud protection isn't just about visibility and management, it's also about consistent security policies.
Consistent security policies. How does Defender for Cloud manage that across different cloud environments?
Well, Nestor explained that Defender for Cloud lets you create and apply security policies that work across your Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud resources.
So I could create a single policy that makes sure all my virtual machines, no matter what cloud they're in, have disk encryption turned on.
Exactly. It's about enforcing your organization's security standards consistently across your whole multi-cloud setup.
This is huge for organizations that are using multiple cloud platforms.
Yeah.
It makes sure that security doesn't become a mess when you're working across different providers.
That's the idea. You want to keep that unified security posture no matter where your data and applications live.
Now, how does Defender for Cloud actually make sure those multi-cloud security policies are being followed?
Nestor explained that it uses a combination of agent-based and agentless approaches.
Agent-based and agentless. We've talked about those before in the context of vulnerability scanning. How do they apply to security policies?
So for Azure resources, Defender for Cloud has a direct connection and can enforce policies pretty easily. But for AWS and Google Cloud, it might need to install lightweight agents on those resources to make sure your policies are being followed.
Okay, so for multi-cloud policies, agents might be necessary.
In some cases, yes. But Nestor assured us that those agents are designed to be super lightweight and won't slow down your cloud resources.
Good. I don't want anything bogging down my application.
Nobody does. Defender for Cloud is all about finding that perfect balance between security and performance.
This is all so incredibly insightful. I'm starting to understand how complex managing multi-cloud security can be.
It definitely is. But Defender for Cloud is doing a lot to make it easier.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about Defender for Cloud's multi-cloud capabilities. What's next?
Well, we've seen how Defender for Cloud is all about complete protection for your cloud environment. And a big part of that is making sure you're compliant with all the relevant regulations.
Compliance. Always a top priority. How does Defender for Cloud help with that?
Nestor explained that Defender for Cloud has built-in support for a ton of regulatory standards, things like CIS, NIST, PCI DSS, and a bunch more.
So it's like having a compliance expert built right in.
Exactly. It can check if your cloud environment meets those standards, identify any issues, and even recommend fixes.
That's great. It makes compliance much less of a headache.
Exactly. And to make things even easier, Defender for Cloud has pre-built compliance templates you can use as a starting point.
Templates. What do those have in them?
Think of them as pre-configured settings and policies that are specifically designed to meet certain compliance standards.
So if I need to comply with PCI DSS, I could use a template that's already set up for that.
Exactly. Saves you tons of time and effort.
That's really helpful. I can see how Defender for Cloud could make achieving and maintaining compliance much less stressful.
Absolutely. And it goes even further. Nestor explained that it doesn't just assess your compliance, it can actually generate reports and documentation to prove you're compliant to auditors.
Reports and documentation. That's essential for any compliance audit. What kind of reports can it create?
It can give you reports that show your compliance status against different standards, highlight any gaps, and even provide evidence of how you fixed those gaps.
Wow, that's pretty comprehensive. Sounds like Defender for Cloud has everything I need to sail through my next compliance audit.
It does. It's a dream come true for anyone who deals with compliance.
Now, you mentioned that Defender for Cloud supports a lot of different compliance standards. Can you give me some examples?
Absolutely. It covers things like Hold on. You ready for a lot of acronyms?
Hit me with them. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. CIS benchmarks, NIST, PCI DSS, GDPR, ISO 2701, SOC2, and there's more, like FedRAMP, UK Official, and Azure CIS.
Wow, that's a lot. It seems like Defender for Cloud covers all the big ones.
It does. It's designed to help organizations meet their compliance requirements no matter what industry they're in or where they're located.
This is fantastic. It's like having a one-stop shop for all my compliance needs.
You got it. And Nestor mentioned that Defender for Cloud is constantly being updated with support for new standards all the time.
That's really reassuring. I can trust that Defender for Cloud will keep up with the latest compliance changes.
Exactly. And with all those built-in assessments, templates, and reporting features, you can confidently navigate the complex world of compliance and make sure your cloud environment meets the necessary standards.
This has been incredibly valuable. I'm feeling much more equipped to handle the challenges of cloud compliance.
That's the power of Defender for Cloud. It gives you the tools and knowledge to achieve and maintain compliance in the cloud.
All right, so we've covered a lot about compliance support in Defender for Cloud. What's next on our Defender for Cloud adventure?
Well, Nestor shifts gears a bit and starts talking about security alerts.
Ooh, security alerts. That's where things get real. How does Defender for Cloud help organizations manage and respond to those alerts?
Nestor dives into this crucial aspect of security operations, explaining that Defender for Cloud provides a centralized security alert management system.
So it's like a command center for security alerts.
Exactly. All those security alerts from your cloud environment, including Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, are gathered into a single view.
That's so helpful. Having a single place to keep track of alerts from multiple cloud providers would really streamline our security operations.
Absolutely. It's all about having a clear view of your security posture and avoiding alert fatigue.
Now, I'm curious, what kind of information does Defender for Cloud give about each alert?
Well, Nestor explained that each alert includes detailed information about the nature of the threat, the affected resources, the severity level, and even recommendations for investigating and fixing the issue.
Wow, that's comprehensive. It sounds like Defender for Cloud gives you everything you need to make smart decisions about how to handle each alert.
Exactly. It's about giving security teams the right information so they can take quick and effective action.
Now, can I customize how Defender for Cloud handles alerts?
Absolutely. Nestor emphasized how flexible Defender for Cloud is when it comes to alert management.
What kind of customizations can I make?
You can create custom alert rules, define criteria for suppressing alerts, set up notification preferences, and even connect to external ticketing systems.
That's awesome. I can really tailor Defender for Cloud's alert system to my organization's specific needs.
Exactly. You want to make sure that security alerts are handled in a way that fits your security operations workflow.
This is all incredibly helpful. I'm feeling a lot more prepared to deal with security alerts.
That's what Defender for Cloud is all about. It gives you the tools and knowledge to manage your cloud security and respond to threats quickly.
To really see how Defender for Cloud handles alerts in action, Nestor decided to show us a demo.
Yes. A live demo is always a good way to show how things work.
So what kind of demo did he set up?
Well, he wanted to show how Defender for Cloud reacts to a potential security incident with a virtual machine. He intentionally configured a VM to break a security policy.
Ooh, a security policy violation. That's sure to set off some alarms.
It did. Defender for Cloud jumped into action almost immediately.
What happened? Tell me everything.
First, Defender for Cloud generated a security alert, highlighting the policy violation and pointing out the virtual machine that caused it.
Okay, so there's our alert. What happens next?
Nestor then walked us through all the details of the alert. Defender for Cloud provided a ton of information, like the severity level, when the violation happened, the exact policy that was broken, and even a description of what might happen because of it.
Wow, that's a lot more helpful than just a basic security alert notification.
It is. Defender for Cloud gives you everything you need to understand what's going on and decide how to respond.
Yeah, I'm curious, does Defender for Cloud just tell you about the problem, or does it actually suggest solutions?
That's a great question. Nestor showed us that Defender for Cloud does more than just detect problems. It also provides steps to fix them.
So it's like having a built-in security consultant.
Exactly. In the demo, Defender for Cloud gave clear instructions on how to change the virtual machine's settings so it would comply with the policy again.
That's fantastic. It makes fixing security issues much faster and easier.
It does. And Nestor even pointed out that sometimes Defender for Cloud can fix things automatically.
Wait, automatically?
Yeah.
So Defender for Cloud can fix the problem without any help?
In some cases, yes. You can use features like logic apps to set up automatic actions that happen when certain alerts are triggered.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like having an automated security incident response team.
You got it.
That's incredible.
And to show how important this all is, Nestor shared a real-world example of a security breach that could have been prevented if they had been paying attention to alerts.
Ooh, a real-world example. I love those. They make these security concepts so much more real. What was the example?
He talked about a situation where an organization wasn't checking the security alerts for their cloud storage accounts.
Okay, so they weren't monitoring their storage alerts. What happened?
An attacker was able to get into one of their storage accounts, which had sensitive customer data in it.
Ooh, that's bad. How did the attacker get in?
It turned out there was a misconfigured access policy on the storage account, and Defender for Cloud had actually flagged this problem weeks earlier.
So Defender for Cloud warned them about the vulnerability, but they missed it.
Yep. The security team was drowning in alerts from all sorts of sources and didn't have a good system for deciding which alerts to focus on.
Classic alert fatigue. Too many alerts, not enough time to deal with them.
Exactly. And in this case, it led to a data breach.
That's a serious reminder of why managing security alerts is so crucial. It's not just about finding the threats, it's about dealing with them effectively.
Absolutely. Nestor really emphasized that Defender for Cloud, with its centralized alert management system, customizable rules, and automation features, can really help organizations avoid those kinds of security incidents.
Well, thanks to this deep dive, I know we're definitely better prepared to handle security alerts and protect our cloud environments. Nestor sounds like a fantastic teacher. I wish I could have taken his masterclass myself.
He is amazing. He explains those complicated security ideas in a way that's clear and engaging, and his passion for cloud security is incredible.
I can definitely tell. It's inspiring to see someone so knowledgeable and passionate about what they do.
It makes learning about security fun and exciting.
I agree. And I think that's one of the big takeaways from this deep dive. Security doesn't have to be boring. It can be fascinating, even fun, when you have the right tools and approach it with the right attitude.
Well said. It's about embracing those challenges, learning, adapting, and using technology to our advantage.
Exactly. And with Defender for Cloud on our side, we're well equipped to deal with whatever the world of cloud security throws at us. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something Nestor mentioned that really got me thinking.
What's that?
He talked about logic apps and how you can use them to automate security tasks within Defender for Cloud. I'd love to dig into that a little more.
Great idea. Logic apps are a really powerful way to automate processes in Azure. You can use them to connect different services and systems together, creating automated actions that can streamline your operations and even improve your security.
So connect different services. Okay, I'm starting to see the possibilities here. Can you give me some specific examples of how I could use logic apps with Defender for Cloud?
Sure. Imagine Defender for Cloud detects a suspicious login attempt to your Azure environment.
Okay, suspicious login. That could be an attacker trying to break in.
Exactly, and you want to act fast. With logic apps, you could set up a workflow that automatically triggers certain actions in response to that alert.
What kind of actions?
Well, you could have it send an immediate notification to your security team about the potential threat.
That's a good first step. What else?
Depending on your security rules, you could even configure logic apps to automatically block that suspicious IP address, stopping any more login attempts.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a security guard that instantly shuts the door on anyone suspicious.
You got it. And logic apps can even work with systems outside of Azure.
So it's not limited to just Azure.
Nope. You could connect it to other security tools like SIEM systems or threat intelligence platforms.
Amazing. It's like having a central control for all my security automation.
You're getting it. And they're easy to use. There's a visual designer where you can just drag and drop different actions, no coding required.
That's fantastic. Even I could automate my security tasks.
Exactly. Logic apps make automation accessible to everyone, even if you're not a coding expert.
I'm starting to understand why Nestor was so excited about logic apps. They seem like a game changer for cloud security automation.
They really are. And this is just the beginning. There are tons of ways you can use logic apps with Defender for Cloud to improve your security and make things easier to manage.
Well, this deep dive has definitely sparked a new interest for me. I'm ready to explore the world of security automation with Logic apps.
That's the spirit. It's an exciting area, and with Logic Apps and Defender for Cloud working together, you have everything you need to start automating.
I'm feeling inspired. And I think that's a great place to wrap up this episode with a sense of motivation to take our cloud security to the next level.
Couldn't agree more. It's been an amazing deep dive into Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and I hope our listeners are feeling as energized and informed as we are.
Me too. Remember, security is an ongoing process, not a one-time thing. It's about constantly learning, improving, and adapting. And with the right knowledge, tools, and mindset, you can create a cloud environment that is secure and compliant.
Well said.
So until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay secure.
And keep diving deep. We'll see you on our next adventure.
You know, something that really stuck with me from Nestor's talk was how much he emphasized data collection rules. He really sees them as the key to getting granular control over all the security data you're collecting.
Data collection rules, yeah, he mentioned those a few times. I remember he said they're really helpful for hybrid and multi-cloud setups. But I'm still a little hazy on what they actually are and how they work.
Okay, so imagine data collection rules like blueprints. They tell Defender for Cloud exactly what security information to collect from your resources. Instead of being flooded with data, you get a stream that's tailored to your needs.
So it's not just collecting everything. I can be specific and say, hey, I'd only want this particular data from these specific resources.
Exactly. It helps you cut through the noise and focus on the important stuff. And this is especially helpful when you're dealing with things outside of Azure, like AWS, or even on-premises resources. That makes sense. Organizations with hybrid or multi-cloud deployments want that unified security view, but they need to manage the data coming in from all those different places.
Exactly. Nestor even showed us how to create and configure these data collection rules. It's all about defining your sources, the types of data you want, and where it should be sent.
So it's like building a custom security data pipeline, just for my organization's needs and environment.
You got it. And Nestor stressed that you need to align those rules with your overall security strategy. What are you trying to achieve? What data do you need? Answer those questions, then use data collection rules to make it happen.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't just collect data for the sake of it. Now, you mentioned earlier that Defender for Cloud often uses agents to get data from non-Azure resources. How do data collection rules fit into that?
Those agents are like beta collectors, but they need instructions. Data collection rules are those instructions, telling them exactly what to gather from those non-Azure resources.
So it's like giving them a shopping list. Go get me this specific info from these servers over there.
Exactly. This is especially useful for on-premises resources where you might not have the same level of integration with Defender for Cloud. It helps bridge that gap.
This is really interesting. It sounds like data collection rules can help break down those walls between cloud and on-premises security.
That's the goal. A unified security view is what everyone's aiming for. Now, let's talk about what kind of data you can actually collect. Nestor gave some really good examples.
All right, let's hear it. What kind of information can I gather?
Well, you've got your typical security event logs, but you can also get performance counters, network traffic logs, and even logs that your applications generate.
Custom logs. Why would I want to collect those?
Imagine you have an important application that creates its own security logs. Maybe it tracks user activity or anything suspicious. Defender for Cloud might not know about those logs by default.
So I could be missing out on important security information.
You got it. But with data collection rules, you can feed that data into Defender for Cloud, and that gives you a more complete security picture.
That's really cool. It's like giving Defender for Cloud a deeper understanding of my applications.
Precisely. This is crucial for cloud-native apps where each part might have its own logs. Without a way to collect and centralize them, you're trying to secure something without all the pieces.
Okay, I see the analogy. Data collection rules help me gather all the pieces of the puzzle.
Exactly. You get a more complete picture of your security. Now, we've talked about the data we can collect, but where does it all go?
That's a good question. It can't just be floating around, right?
Right. Nestor explained that you can use data collection rules to choose where the data ends up. One common place is Azure Log Analytics.
Log Analytics, Azure's logging service. It's like a central hub for all your security information, right?
Exactly. By sending your data to Log Analytics, you can use all sorts of powerful tools, query languages, visualizations, even machine learning to understand your security better and respond to threats more effectively.
That sounds amazing. Turning raw data into usable information.
Precisely. But it's not just Log Analytics. Nestor also mentioned Azure Event Hubs, which are good for real-time data processing.
Event hubs. What's the benefit of using those?
Event Hubs act like a distribution center for your security data. They can send it to other systems in real time, like SIEMs, threat intelligence platforms, or even your own security applications.
So it's like creating a pipeline that feeds my security data to all the right tools.
You got it. Getting the data to the right place at the right time.
This is really impressive. Defender for Cloud just keeps getting better. I'm really interested in what Nestor said about using data collection rules to secure Kubernetes clusters.
Ah, yes, Kubernetes security. That's a whole other challenge. It's a very dynamic environment, which makes it tough to see what's happening from a security standpoint.
I can imagine. Containers are always moving around. It's like trying to keep track of a swarm of bees.
Exactly. But data collection rules can help bring some order to it all. You can use them to collect logs from all the important parts of your Kubernetes cluster. The control plane, the worker nodes, even the containers themselves.
So it's about getting that granular view into my Kubernetes environment so I can see what's happening from a security perspective.
Precisely. And when you centralize those logs in Log Analytics, you can start to see the bigger picture, spot potential threats, and respond more effectively.
This makes a lot of sense. I'm feeling much more confident about tackling Kubernetes security thanks to this deep dive. Nestor did an amazing job of explaining these complicated concepts.
He really did. He's so passionate about cloud security, and he has a knack for making things clear and easy to understand.
I completely agree. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful, and I think we've both learned so much from Nestor's masterclass.
Absolutely. I hope our listeners are walking away with a better understanding of how powerful and flexible Microsoft Defender for Cloud is, and how it can help them secure their cloud environments, no matter how complex.
Well said. And remember, security is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous learning, improving, and adapting. With the right knowledge, the right tools, and the right attitude, you can build a secure and compliant cloud environment.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay secure.
And keep diving deep. We'll see you on our next adventure.